Ooh, nice body. I'd like to tear that down. Oh, wait, are we recording? As someone who loves a good body and also appreciates automotive engineering, I came across this video on the evolution of Tesla's body structure. Tesla and Teardown, don't mind if I do.
Hi, John McElroy here, talking all things automotive with Terry Wachowski, the president of Caresoft. And today we're going to talk body in white, in fact, Tesla's body in white and the evolution thereof.
Yeah, and again, like a lot of parts of Tesla, there's a story, an evolution story, so you can see where they're taking technology, and then we can kind of extrapolate where they may be going. Mm-hmm. But it's been a journey for them. I'll start really briefly. When we look at the 2021 Model Y, when they went from the Model 3 to the Model Y and extended it for more passenger, they started getting some mass trouble right away. And so as they put the structure back, they came up with a casting. Instead of having all these stampings and weld it all up, instead they came with a casting. And so that was the introduction in 2021.
And that's the rear casting here,
that's the rear
right?
casting there. And what they did, when they did that, they were able to get the structure they wanted at a mass reduction, but also they took 70 parts out of the body shop. So sub-assemblies, little pieces that all have to come together and get
and
welded
each
up.
of which you need dies to stamp them, and then you need all the robots to weld them.
Each piece has to be engineered. Each has to be put on contract. Each piece needs to be tooled. It needs to be built. It needs dunnage. It needs to be shipped. It needs to be received. All the costs associated with every part. And so one part's better than 70.
So this is obviously true. I can't emphasize enough how much of a big brain, big swinging engineering moment this was from Tesla. Any company producing vehicles could have developed a gigantic casting and deleted 70 parts, plus all the associated costs, the overhead, the time, the factory footprint, the die casting machines, literally all of the stuff relating to this. Any other automotive company could have done this. Yet, they didn't. It wasn't until 2021 when Tesla, who just a few years earlier, the entire automotive industry was pointing and laughing at going, oh, look, pedal gumps, they can't even make a car. What are these idiots from Silicon Valley doing? It wasn't until Tesla embarrassed the entire automotive industry that some people started to take notice. 5 years earlier, if we're being honest, Tesla's electronics and software, safety capabilities, performance of their vehicles, incredible. But the stuff that, quote, car companies have been doing for the last 100 years was not Tesla's strongest suit. Yet 5 years later, they've gone from almost the laughing stock of the automotive industry in terms of stuff that doesn't really matter to embarrassing the entire industry. And that's not where it ended, but I just really want to put a flag here. This was an incredible insight into Tesla's ability to apply their big brains to solve problems. Deleting 70 parts and all the bullshit associated with that? Why didn't any other company do this? Now, the actual answer, of course, is a lack of balls, a lack of brains, a culture of yes, sir, yes, boss, great idea, boss, don't rock the boat. Most people who have these kind of ideas with their big brains present a few ideas, get shot down by their boss, their manager, shut the fuck up, just do what we always do, don't rock the boat. These people end up leaving and building their own companies. Shout out to Sandy Munro. This really speaks to Tesla's culture of innovation and the lack of that same culture in automotive companies industry-wide. Anyone could have done this, yet Tesla did. Think about that for a moment.
And that's what they did. And so that was really a big step forward. Shortly thereafter, 2022, we see that not only did they have the rear casting, but this is when they introduced the front casting.
And this is just like a year apart or so, something like that. Yeah. That is amazing. Yeah.
And so now you can see this front casting. Before we get too far, John, from a safety perspective, we ask our associates to wear PPE when we're around the body in white, especially these castings. And you need to trust me on this. Some of these castings, they're sharper than a guillotine. I went up to one the other day on the Cybertruck and was just talking incidentally and just touched it, and I ended up with an industrial paper cut. I mean, it was a slit. It was like, wow.
So good.
So we wear Kevlar when we're around the body in white, and if you don't have sleeves, then we have Kevlar sleeves that we wear. But interesting, as they came forward then with the 2022, we not only saw the rear casting, but now the introduction of the front casting. And if that took 70 parts out of the body shop, this took 360 parts out of the body shop.
Wow.
Well, it's a good thing that John just put his protection on. I think that could have been a mess otherwise. Again, I just want to underscore, we're talking a year apart huge innovation, delete about 70 parts, embarrass the entire automotive industry a year later, delete hundreds of parts. The pace of innovation, absolutely astonishing and truly embarrassing for the automotive industry. And it's important to keep in mind that this doesn't just apply to Tesla figuring out ways to put a vehicle together faster, more efficiently, in a smaller factory footprint, to delete lots of parts, processes. This same relentless, ruthless pace of innovation and resourcefulness applies to every aspect of Tesla's business, including the very structure of the business itself. Not just the products, everything, top to bottom, left to right, inside out. Tesla is a constant optimization machine. They're lean, resourceful, efficient, and relentlessly innovating. The contrast between Tesla's culture, where you are rewarded for innovation, and essentially every automotive company on the planet, in which you are punished for even suggesting something that could be considered to be innovative, is chalk and cheese. Is there any wonder Tesla's running away with it?
Body shop's starting to get a little boring. You know, I mean, just think of the workload that's been taken out, the manufacturing floor space, all the associated costs with doing that. And
you know, just as an aside, what I love what you're talking about here, Terry, is they're designing cost out. They're not necessarily beating up their suppliers. They're not asking for price cuts. They're not decontenting the vehicle to make it cheaper. They're taking cost out through design.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing any of that other stuff. Probably a little bit of all, but the best thing to do is design it out in the first place and integrate your designs. Mm-hmm. No part, you just do one single thing. And you have to look, you know, the whole system-wide. For instance, as they did this, you'll notice also that the body in white for the 2022 Model Y, there is no floor. And it was like, whoa, you guys forgot a big piece here. You know? And then you realize, you know, I have this huge piece of metal, this wide, this long, and this far below it, I have another piece. Why do I have two pieces? Well, that's a body. It comes from the body group. And the body group gives you a body. It'll have a floor, guaranteed. Always has. And that's a battery. 30 kilowatt lives in there. We're not letting them out. So here's a vault, and it's safe, and go bolt them together. And I said, well, terrific. You get one. And so now one piece had to do both. So the top of the battery became the floor of the car. The top had to get a little thicker in order to do the double duty, but on net, a 14% improvement. So driving that cost out by design. Also, as you see with the casting, they're also able to take cost out because it's an enabler for a modular build. This entire module right here is the HVAC module. So the compressor, the evaporators, the octovalve, the heat pump, all these pieces, they're right there. And it just comes in and sets right there. And there are 4 vertical bolts that secure it. And so because it's this front module, you can walk right up here. Operators can access everything right here, and then to continue to build the modules from the ductwork, the HVAC, right down out to the frunk and the front bumper. It all just assembles. So manufacturing cost designed out.
Roughly a year ago, I featured a video from somebody, I believe, based out of China, showing how easy it was to almost literally throw together a Model Y front and back because of this modular system. This is almost like a baby version 0.1 of Tesla's next-gen vehicle manufacturing system that's entirely modular at a much larger scale. Now, we heard about how easy it was for a human, an operator, to access, to implement 4 vertical bolts here, I believe, right? Saving a huge amount of cost versus the typical clusterfuck you find involved in putting together a typical vehicle, electrical otherwise, with shit everywhere. Now, have you considered, ladies and gentlemen, that if Tesla can make this process simple enough, instead of human operators, initially for small portions and then ultimately for large portions and then ultimately for 100% of the vehicle, humanoid robots may be able to assemble Tesla vehicles in the future. Have you considered that? Because that will dramatically reduce labor costs. Even if these things are slower than humans, a typical humanoid robot is probably going to be able to do slightly more than 40 hours a week. And by slightly more, I mean about 3, maybe even close to 4 times as much. So even at a fraction of the speed, there could be huge cost savings. Remember, you do not need to pay a humanoid robot a full-time salary. You just need to cover the cost of the hardware initially purchasing, and then of course the energy costs to operate, which are fuck all relative to a human. In the automotive industry, it's not uncommon for somebody's total compensation per year to be in excess of $100,000. And the simpler the process of putting together a vehicle, the easier the access. The sooner this human labor will be able to be replaced with the labor of the humanoid robot Tesla's currently developing called Optimus.
And this we see this is the precursor to their Unboxed that they announced at about a year ago at an investor conference. And you can see the steps that they're making toward that. So we saw, really a quantum jump in the castings. And of course, the whole auto industry has got their attention, and everybody's doing, they're maneuvering to see what's their answer to this. And there'll be plenty.
Yeah.
Now, when we turn to the Cybertruck, we see the castings on steroids. This is taking this technology and taking it even further. As you can see here, a front casting, it's larger. Where in this one, the front, there was a crush can here, essentially, to manage low speed type accident. And if you get into this, you just have to 2 bolts, take this piece out. The casting comes all the way to the front. You can see it's essentially corrugated, so it's designed to accordion and
to crush and
crush appropriately.
Just to be clear, they're specifically referring to crash safety here with the corrugations. A lot of people don't understand this. I get it. Most people aren't automotive engineers. But vehicles are designed to act in certain ways in the event of a collision. These pieces are designed to collapse in to reduce and distribute forces to reduce the potential impact in terms of risk to human life for injury, disability, or death during a collision. I remember some of the most amusing comments on my original Cybertruck is Engineering Genius video. Oh my God, bro, it's so strong. What happened to the crash? It'll kill everyone. I don't want to labor the point too much, but some people have this false perception and default reaction to, oh wait, it's a big cast piece. Well, that's not going to be safe in a crash. Oh, what? Relax. Believe it or not, you can engineer huge cast pieces to perform exactly as you wish in the event of a collision, as we're seeing here. These corrugations are specifically designed with crash safety in mind. Remember, Tesla makes the safest vehicles ever tested. Safety is the number one priority in every one of their vehicles. And you don't need to take my word for it or Tesla's. Look at the results. When they're tested, they outperform every other vehicle in their category by miles. So if you're one of the folks who have this idea, huge casting can't possibly be safe, you are mistaken.
In a safe manner, but this comes all the way out here. Some people raise the concern, well, low speed, damageability requirements in Europe and such things. I don't think you're going to see many of these in Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, that modular approach, you can get right up to the front of dash in this design. Operators can get right here. You can see this beautiful casting here that comes in, and this, like that, it's actually the entire HVAC module
oh
again.
My gosh.
And you can see in our Iceberg platform the data that we take all these things apart, and you can see how that all goes together. But it just comes in, same, sets right in here, 4 bolts. There are little tabs here. There's a fork here, goes over this tab, this moves up, just hits that, it's in place, drive 4
So kind of
bolts.
Pokioka, just slam it in there, it's good to go.
It's just right there.
Yeah.
So this one's a V, that slides in, this comes up, run your bolts, you're done.
That's great.
Yeah. Now it's interesting, a couple of things as we observe, because everything isn't as it might seem. There's these inserts that have had to be put in for fasteners, because this would be pretty easy to strip out. It'd be hard to build the type of torque you need. So you have inserts that go in there, and then this is a hardened steel, so bolts can start going in and start making connections. So you'll see those used kind of extensively around. Also, it's interesting that the front motor mounts, they're bolted on.
Why is that? Why wouldn't that just be part of the casting?
Well, they were.
On
So
the
if we
Model
look
Y?
on the Model Y, they were cast right in.
Uh-huh.
And so you would ask exactly as you did. Well, we used to mold them in, how come now? And in fact, not only are they not molded in, but the fasteners have to be driven from both sides.
Oh, interesting.
Inside and out.
Because that's usually not the way Tesla does
You
it,
never
right?
wanna
They
do
like
that way.
fasteners, especially going right down vertically.
I would think that there was a desire to do this to the front stub frame, mount it there, and then there was a late minute change. I said, nah, that's not going to work, so we need to put it here, and at that point, you're so far down the road, it's like, here's your part, go bolt this up.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
that's what I would speculate as I see that here, how that looks. The casting there's tools for top and bottom, and then 2 slides that come out to make this whole piece. You can see the webbing that gives it structure.
All the strength, right, yeah. And I'm sure all this is FEA designed, so they know exactly how wide, how thick, exactly where they go, the curvature, all
Can't
that
tell
stuff.
you how many iterations they must have gone through, but that's an engineer's dream or nightmare, one of the two. But yeah, a lot of modeling goes into this and especially with these castings, because the cooling of the part. Once the part's made, it needs to cool. It can't crack, it can't warp, can't do all kinds of bad things, can't have porosity. And so in the design of the tool, all that, it's all done in math.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about this body in white, is that none of the A surface is structural.
Interesting. All the
None of
panels
it.
just hang on.
All the A surface things are just for pretty. That's it. They're just aesthetics. They don't offer any structure. In fact, they just bolt up.
Interesting.
And even in the rear quarters, bolt up just like the front fender used to.
Is that for, you think, repairability, or just they got so much structure in here they didn't need structure for the body panels?
It's part of the unboxing process. To how do I drive the cost out? How do I get it so it's faster and less cost? And again, it's all in. It's a system. The fact that you get a glass roof or you don't get a vehicle, you get one. Any color you want. Well, it's black. You get one. Well, that means from a body shop perspective, I don't have to schedule these things in. And some have sunroofs, some have power sunroofs, some have glass.
They're all the same.
All the same. Boom.
This is a very important aspect of Tesla's efficiency. It's worth taking a moment to remind everybody that today, Tesla's Model Y, with an average selling price well above a typical high-selling vehicle, is the world's best-selling vehicle, without 650 trillion different variations. A lot of automotive manufacturers seem to have deluded themselves into thinking they need to offer trillions of different options on each vehicle model in order to have something for everybody. And Tesla's demonstrated this to be utterly false. If you make an incredible product, you don't need to add huge amounts of unnecessary complexity, unique parts, and variation just to sell a lot. And the more streamlined the product, the less variation. And in the case of Tesla's Model Y, the only meaningful variations really, a few more battery cells in the battery pack for more range, slight variations in terms of number of motors for performance versions. That's it. The more parts in common, the more economies of scale, the more streamlined the manufacturing, the faster you can produce these, the less shit that goes wrong, the more affordably you can sell them to consumers, winning.
And that keeps the cost down in doing that. And again, these pieces then just all come and bolt. On the side, you can see that we have hot pressed, hot stamped pieces that come together. You can see where the tailor welded blanks come, and so you can see some witnesses where those come together, where they're welded together.
And tailor welded, of course, is you put high strength steel exactly where you want it,
Exactly
high
where you
impact, shoulder harness, mount, strengthen. But why spend the money for that high strength steel in places where you don't need it?
It's a matrix. It's where I need it where I need it, I don't need it where I don't need it, and I find that magic combination. In fact, if you look right here on the rocker, there's these little patches here. You see them here, 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 and here. Well, those are lining up. Remember when we looked at the battery and we saw the structure on the bottom of the battery that went cross car?
Right.
That's right where those end.
Oh.
So as this rocker comes into that, it was probably too hard. So this is a softer steel. It digs in. It says, okay, just try to push this now instead of sliding off. And you can see just the application of those. To your point earlier, if we look at where the shoulder belt or the seat belt and shoulder belt attach, okay, we have steel. This is going to take the shoulder belt loads. This is a big load. So we have aluminum piece. We're going to use steel just right where we need it.
Right, and probably high strength steel.
Yep. And then we'll do self-piercing rivets and put that in. Also, you notice from a casting perspective, the rear seat stanchion is now casting. In fact, a very clever casting, because left hand and right hand, as well as the adjoining bracket front and back, they're all one part. So left and right are the same, just one on each side. This bottom bracket's the same, just one on different sides. So
grab whatever in the crate and put it in the vehicle, right?
Fewer parts to handle, fewer parts to design, tool, and then of course,
Fewer parts to handle, fewer parts to design, fewer parts to tool for. Kind of reminds me, I feel like, wait, what was that thing that Elon said years ago? Oh, that's right. The best part is no part. The best process is no process. And the dude literally meant what he said. Hence, we've seen Tesla delete fuck tons of parts and fuck tons of processes since those comments. And it ain't just Tesla. The same thing happens at SpaceX. Great example of that is V1 versus V2 of their most recent engine design. The same principles of efficiency, deleting parts and processes apply to putting together electric vehicles as they do starships, rockets. Good engineering is good engineering.
Extra strength in the pillars and hinges. When you look here, this appears to be, you see these corner pieces that come in here. Mm-hmm. This was likely due to some barrier performance up front. Did some crash work and said, I don't like how this deformed.
For offset front impact,
right.
probably.
So had to bring in some steel here, some metal pieces to bring in and to patch that corner up. Mm-hmm. So it isn't, Tesla's usually a measure of efficiency, right? They're very efficient in what they do, and therefore they manage the cost. Cybertruck continues a lot of those technologies, but some of them not so much, because of different dosage cycle and different learnings, and you can see where there were other things they did just because they wanted to and just because they could, because of the type of vehicle it is.
But knowing Tesla.
And of course, to be reasonable, Cybertruck is currently at version 1. I have to say the Model Y is probably at version 3 or 4 by now, not including some of the incremental improvements along the way. So obviously, the current Cybertruck we're looking at with some incredible engineering is still the least efficient, dumbest, worst ever Cybertruck we will see from an engineering point of view. It's only going to get better from here, which is a pretty scary thought considering this thing is an engineering marvel.
Tesla, we wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of stuff get addressed so that you don't have these patches.
Well, yeah, you'd have liked to have incorporated that in the casting.
Yeah.
Just right up the front, and probably thought they did.
Right.
But the vehicle development process doesn't care. It is what it is, and if you're not getting the type of results you want, you've got to enact some kind of countermeasure to get there. But you can see how far this come. Also, if you look in the rocker, because we talked a lot about side pole, but John, if you look across, you can see this one here.
Yeah.
There is an extrusion that runs through that rocker.
Oh, yeah.
And actually attaches that module with this module. So that's how we're bringing this thing together. This whole body side ring is going to bolt up with 12 bolts. And again, I think when you look at the unbox and you try to extrapolate and where are they going with that, you can kind of see they're
on their way.
They're on their way, and there's learnings here for sure. But you can see the type of structure that's put in to, again, manage the crash, as well as to give some structural integrity to the vehicle, and to pull the front and rear modules together as one unit.
And then you got these rear castings. Holy moly.
These rear castings, this buttress is amazing. So again, taking these to a new level. And if you'll notice on this, John, it's giving a lot of structure right here at the C-pillar, because you don't want the pickup truck to bend right here. So by triangulating this, you bring a lot of structure from a bending and a torsion perspective. But these surfaces are actually machined off.
This right here.
Both inner
Machined?
and outer.
Why?
That's what places that A surface. So from a dimensional control,
it goes exactly where it's supposed to be.
Right here, it's right where it's supposed to be.
Kind of like the old Pontiac Fiero milling drill.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can see where they're utilizing that strategy to attach this whole body side.
And what are these things? They're so weird. What is this?
This is, again, they've taken casting. Now this is a casting, welded to a casting, and they attach it. So I don't know if it's afterthought or we wish we'd had or for whatever reason, but they end up with all this structure back here, so that D-pillar is bulletproof structurally. It's not connected here, but then again, all the bending wants to take place at the end of that pillar, so this is probably not that important, plus you got the box inner. Really, from a structural perspective, you look at this casting, and this is, again, another gargantuan casting, goes all the way up to the pillar.
Man,
and
it's
all the way back
gigantic.
to the rear boat. It's absolutely gigantic.
And again, you got this cut out so line workers can come in and start assembling things.
And in the future, Optimus humanoid robots. By the way, I just want to take a quick moment. These guys are so blown away at the utter fucking insane size. What they say, absolutely gigantic. The audacity of Tesla to think that they could try this, let alone to actually execute. The short story is the bigger the casting, the better. The bigger each casting, the more parts that one casting deletes. The more processes that one casting deletes. And we can see how impressed these two guys are, who really understand automotive engineering, how impressed they are at the scale of these castings. The ultimate end destination, of course, if it's possible within the laws of physics, would basically be cast the entire vehicle in one go. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but maybe one day, with the right material science and innovation, a big enough Giga press, it could theoretically be possible. Either way, though, this is incredible stuff. And remember, this is the worst version we'll ever see of Cybertruck. And these guys are nutting left, right, and center.
I'm sure that tonneau cover isn't an easy job.
Right.
Do that, but you can get right up here and you can do it. The cylinder for the air suspension mounts right here. You have that same kind of modular build happening right through here, including the box as you build out and then put in the rear structure. So
I love that approach because, everybody else, you got, line workers leaning way over to try to get stuff in, maybe scratching or denting something.
all the above. You got to wear belt buckle protection. You got ergo. How much am I reaching? How much am I bending? How tall is the operator? I mean, it's different. So when you can get people right up here, you can increase your operator density. Less people getting in and out because you can reach it from here. And again, your cost comes down. Your throughput can go up. The front header is, again, mixed materials. The front header is steel. So from a roof crush perspective, and they needed the strength. Back here, the header is aluminum. So by the time you're back here, life's good.
Yeah.
You can go with aluminum. You can see the castings and the flash. Remember I talked about getting industrial lacerations. I mean, these things are really incredibly sharp. In areas you wouldn't think so. There's some you say, oh, that's a bad area, but there's some that are just waiting to take revenge on you.
Well, real good. There's more?
There's a little bit more, just to show you that, from the front fender here, that you have the stainless steel, which of course is the whole story of the Tesla bodies, all the stainless.
Right.
But the work's being done back here.
But the black metal's not
Steel black,
stainless.
nope.
Oh.
So it's stamped, and then it is essentially glued. There's an adhesive that
Structural
holds it together.
adhesive.
Structural
puts
adhesive.
it together.
Yeah.
And I love how they've stamped in this little sort of Easter egg of the Cybertruck, and this is some sort of hammer?
I'm not sure what that is. I'm calling it Thor's.
So regarding that hammer, depending on which way it's oriented, yes, totally, definitely a hammer. A big swinging hammer from Tesla's engineers. Love it.
And this is some sort of hammer?
I'm not sure what that is. I'm calling it Thor's hammer. But yeah, we were surprised. We pulled this. I said, hey, look at here. Here's a Cybertruck silhouette.
Because
stamped in here.
Most owners will never see that. I'll bet most people don't even know that designers love putting Easter eggs inside a car that an owner can discover over time in their vehicle, right?
Exactly.
I think Jeep designers were the ones who really started that. But to put an Easter egg on the inner fender, never heard of that before.
Right. When you look at the side of the Cybertruck, of course, you see this huge eyebrow that goes from the windshield all the way back. It is one piece, but the way they do it, it's sort of like what you saw there. There is an inner piece, giving a structure. The stainless is the aesthetics, and then is simply, again, an adhesive that holds it together. And then they just have clips. It's just like a bird's beak clip. There.
So smart. No fasteners.
It is.
I mean, it's a fastener, but I mean not threaded or anything. Right. You don't need a wrench to do it.
Right. Now, you do need to learn, because I came up one day and walked up as our associates were taking it off, and there's a bend right here. I said, what? How did it get bent? Oh, there's a fastener. I didn't know it was right there. And we pull, But if you look, you kind of break its back right here structurally.
Oh,
And so right where that flange is, if you kind of gun sight this, you'll see that they take a little bit. So
notice to all
services, you better
notice to all
know
techs,
what you're doing.
right?
Yeah, it's everybody.
Really good.
Yep. So that's a quick flyby of the body structure. We'll be doing more work. We're doing a metallurgical analysis and what kind of material exactly, what the alloys, what grades are they using in various places. But again, taking the castings to a whole new level here.
That's great. Terry, brilliant. Thanks so much. This is fantastic insight to how Tesla does it.
Yep. Enjoyed it.
Some absolutely incredible insights there. Shout out to Autoline Network and shout out to CareSoft. This is the kind of stuff that a consumer interacting with a Tesla product would never know, never understand, never care about. But it's so incredibly important if you're a Tesla investor to see what they're doing and how impressed experts are when they look literally under the hood. Amazing stuff. And a lot of hints there, even though these two gentlemen didn't mention the word. It's very obvious that Tesla currently designing vehicles so that in the future, their Optimus humanoid robot can replace a lot and then eventually all of the human operators, further driving costs down. I'm curious, what do you guys think? How long until the first Optimus humanoid robots are actually doing useful work in Tesla factories somewhere on Earth? Let me know in the comments below your exact guess. What month? What year? Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.